So, once again, we are dealing with another shooting of an unarmed black man. This time it happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and it's a gentleman by the name of Jacob Blake, a 29-year-old black man that was there trying to break up an altercation between two white individuals. Police arrived, and somehow Jacob, being the black guy trying to break it up, became the villain. In an attempt to arrest Jacob, they tased him. They said it didn't work. The entire time, his three sons sit in a truck alone, and Jacob is simply trying to get to the truck to make sure his sons are okay. In my mind, I imagine that they were screaming, they were crying. He was nervous, he was scared because he's there trying to break this fight up. But somehow, he ends up the villain. Many questions are luring about how, why did he resist? But my question is, why was he attacked? My question is, why did it even get to a place where a black man that is there trying to break up a fight is even somehow the villain? How? And that's the question I keep asking myself. I keep reading, I keep investigating, trying to find out when does it stop, right? But here we are, trying to figure it out. Jacob gets to his truck, he opens it. One officer snatches him by the back of his shirt, which means they were close enough to body handle him, right? But instead, they commence to shooting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullets into the back of Jacob Blake because he was trying to break up a fight. And we're making him the villain. We're saying that we have to stop resisting because he resisted. So since he resisted, he now deserves to lay flat on his stomach with 7 bullets in his back, paralyzed from the waist down because he resisted. But then we look at a white man wrestle a cop down because the white man is stealing bottles of alcohol out of a grocery store, and they wrestle him to the ground until they finally get him. Or then we see a white man go into a church, be a part of the Bible study service, then go on a high-speed chase with the officers. They finally get him, put a bulletproof vest on him, first stop Burger King, to make sure nothing happens to him. But let's go back to Kenosha, because then the protesting starts. And the protesting brings on young 17-year-old Kyle. Kyle Rittenhouse comes because he says that it's his duty to help them protect. He wants to now play as though he is an officer, a vigilante, at 17 with a rifle and bullets across his chest. And he shoots not one, but 2 people. And the chief of police gives a statement today, and he blames those 2 protesters for their own murders. He says that they were out after the curfew. That's why it happened. I say the 17-year-old was illegally carrying a weapon because it can't be licensed to him because he's too young. I say the 17-year-old white boy should not have driven from where he lived in Illinois to Wisconsin to do it. I say that the 17-year-old white boy was also after curfew. Mr. Chief of Police, how is it their fault that they were murdered by a 17-year-old kid that illegally had a gun that was playing like a vigilante from an entire different state? But Jacob Blake sits in the hospital, paralyzed from the waist down. Jacob Blake's 3 sons that witnessed it is now traumatized, and those boys will grow up to be men. Either they will grow up angry at the system that did this to their dad, or they will grow up wanting to fight the system that did it to their dad. But either way, they will grow up with resentment to the system that we're telling them will protect them. When will it stop? If a police officer's job is to serve and protect, if they are paid taxpayer dollars to get trained, go through psychological assessments, deal with racial tension, learning how to dismantle issues, how is this happening over and over and over again? So to the black men that I mainly see saying, that he somehow brought this upon himself. I say, look at Tamir Rice. I say, look at Breonna Taylor. I say, look at George Floyd, a man that was handcuffed, laying on the ground with 3 officers over him. He couldn't do anything. But yet that knee still stuck to his neck until he could no longer breathe. Breonna Taylor was laying in her bed and they bust in her apartment. Her boyfriend goes to somehow support her with a gun and she ends up dead while in her bedroom. And come to find out, the person they were looking for, they already had in custody. Tamir Rice was a little boy playing at the park with a toy gun and was murdered. So no, we demand that this stops. And demanding it has to be more than just talk. I salute the Bucks. I salute the Rockets. I salute all the basketball teams that came together and set out for that game until they got their message across. The Lieutenant Governor and the Attorney General, which is a black man, might I add, but a Republican, that said that he would take care of it when he could when it comes to Breonna Taylor's issue. But the Attorney General for Wisconsin, they spoke with, and the Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin, they spoke with, and they got their message across. And they told them, they guaranteed them what they were going to do immediately to deal with the racial divide within the police station. So while you all are crying about defunding the police, educate yourselves on what that means. It's not saying abolishment of the police. It's simply saying that obviously money needs to be removed from somewhere, probably starting with the millions of dollars the police union pays out yearly in every state to pay off people that were mishandled incorrectly by officers. Maybe that's a start for where the money can come from. And put in these communities where Jacobs Blake's 3 sons will grow up and somehow shape and remold them and fix the narrative so that instead of them growing up to have resentment toward the system, maybe they can grow up to say they have seen and witnessed the system change. We speak Jacob Blake's name. He may not be dead, but he's still fighting for his life. It's easy for us to sit in judgment, but it's very difficult when you are the one sitting in the car of the person that was murdered, if that person was not you yourself. We're here to speak truth to power, even if it's uncomfortable at times.